Welcome to the latest Cricket World Hangout. I'm John Pennington in the UK. I'm joined by Chetan Narula out in South Africa. Chetan, just to briefly update us as to your sort of whereabouts, because you've been around and about a bit, out to Benoni, now back somewhere else, I understand.
Yeah, back to Johannesburg. John, Centurion and Benoni are just subsidies of Johannesburg. Pretoria, Centurion and Pretoria and Benoni are subsidies of Johannesburg. Around a 20-minute drive for Centurion and 30 minutes for Benoni. Beautiful, beautiful countryside, as was with the Durban drive. Quite a few lakes in Benoni, so probably tomorrow, because it's a washout, we'll try and explore Benoni a bit.
Absolutely. Now, talking of washouts, we must sort of review the third and final one-day international between these two sides. Before the game, we spoke about, fingers crossed it won't be a washout, likely to be a reduced overs game, and we got half a game in, but then that was it. So we can't really say too much. But in that time, Quinton de Kock scored another century, so 3 centuries in a row for him. Fantastic performance. And Ishant Sharma took some wickets as well. So just give us your sort of view of that third game, even though we only really got less than half a game, as it were.
Well, a confidence boost for Ishant Sharma, no doubt. I think he's done good. His chances of playing in the Test series, in the first Test that starts on December 8th in Johannesburg. He didn't play the last Test series in India, and been a bit of a decent comeback for him. He's picked up 9 wickets in the Ranji Trophy game as well when he played for Delhi. When he was not picked for the West Indies ODI series. Apart from that, yeah, Quinton de Kock. I mean, what can you say? 3 centuries, and there is always the luck factor. There were some edges and wanderers, some in a couple in Durban, and a couple catches went down in Centurion as well. But again, when somebody scores 330 runs in 3 ODI innings, that's not just luck. I mean, and you know what? He's just 20-year-old, and this kid can bat. I think I spoke to his coach, Jeffrey Toyana. He's the coach of the Highwell Lions, who won the domestic T20 competition last season, 2012-13 season, and he really effused as to Quinton de Kock might just be the next South African legend. I mean, he's already made his spot in the ODIs. He's keeping wickets in T20 as well. So he's a keeper batsman. Yet to play a test, but India will be very happy that he's not playing the test matches. But at the same time, he's replaced Graham Smith, and A.B. de Villiers was talking about how he could also possibly bat at number 3 should South Africa want to play 7 batsmen and get somebody else as the opener. But again, his opening partnership with Hashim Amla is really blossoming, and the reason for that is because Hashim Amla just stays at the wicket, keeps one end together, and just keeps on the runs flowing. While at the other end, this guy can take his time. He is a very attacking player, and uh, got to his second 50. He took 70 odd balls for the first 50 because South Africa had lost quick wickets. But after that, he just really exploded. 30 odd deliveries for the next 50. Hit 2 huge 6s with Virat Kohli. So all in all, really great to see a young kid batting, and he has really funny press conferences. Really talks in one-liners, and really fun seeing him talk. And I think it's good for international cricket, good for South Africa cricket that we have a new player on the horizon. And I wouldn't say yet that he will end up as a legend of South Africa cricket because there's obviously a very, very long way to go. But he's made a good start, I think, and let's hope he carries on and gives entertainment to people all over the world.
You mentioned Ishant Sharma there, sort of taking a confidence boost into the Test series. Maybe I think in his a sort of video of him sort of saying maybe this is the first series that India have lost since they lost to Pakistan, which was a little while ago now, earlier in the year. It might just give him a bit of a wake-up call and almost be a positive. Do you sort of agree with that, or was that a little bit sort of media peak, if you like?
Well, they were always going to struggle because they've been playing in the Indian conditions for too long. I mean, they went to Zimbabwe, that was not really a competition. They went to West Indies, that again was not really quite a huge competition. So, and they won the Tri Series there in West Indies. The one major challenge they had was in England, but apart from that, they've just been playing all year round in the subcontinent. So this was always going to happen, because they have not had any practice games. We just had a few net sessions and went into the ODI, so it's always kind of a, facing Dale Steyn with the ball coming to your head. It's Morne Morkel, bowling here. Not easy for the subcontinental batsman.
Not that easy for any batsman, to be fair.
Yeah, not easy for any batsman to be honest. Yes, especially if he's a front-end batsman. But the pitches were a little different from the Pakistan ODI series. That's what we saw. The South African leg of the ODI series. So yes, they have a point to prove. Yes, they wanted to beat the number one side. Yes, they have beaten the number one side. Um, Wake up call for India, maybe. But you know what? I thought this three-match ODI series, as much as it is a starter, 2015 World Cup starting point for India specifically, because they're now going to play in New Zealand and England and Australia, and then they're going to the World Cup in Australia. So, as much as this was a starting point for that, this was, it gave them something to think about, definitely, in terms of their batting, in terms of their mixture. Maybe they will try to, play six batsmen, five bowlers again in New Zealand. Maybe they'll do something different in England next year. We don't know. So this is a learning process that started for them, definitely. But this was a build up to the Test series, because that's where the big crux of the matter lies, because Sachin Tendulkar is not there. The transition is over for India. The new players have all taken their roles. It's just Zahir Khan who's there, and we don't really know how long he's going to be there. So the transition is almost over. I mean, he's just one bowler, and you have four other bowlers who are new and young. So the transition is almost over, and this is where it starts. This is where a new era starts. So it's been building up towards the Test series, and we'll obviously be discussing more about the Test series in our next hangout. But a wake-up call, yes, ahead of the Test series, not in the context of the ODI. And again, talking a little bit about the Centurion ODI, um, very, very disappointed that the Indian team did not get a chance to bat on that pitch. It was a flat deck. We saw how Quinton de Kock and AB de Villiers were able to recover from 28 to 3. A very, very flat deck, and good bounce. So the Indian batsmen could have possibly enjoyed batting on that, short boundaries at Centurion. So that could have been a bit of a confidence boost. Obviously, the pitches in the Test matches at Wanderers and Durban will be very, very different. But again, this would have been a major confidence boost for the Indian batsmen, something they needed, given the fact that their practice game in Benoni has also been washed out.
Absolutely, and just want to sort of touch on that now. I mean, you talked about lakes around South Africa. Unfortunately, maybe a few lakes on the pitch as well. I mean, this tour really has been dogged by bad weather, but losing the only practice game, and again, we could do a whole show about why this tour isn't longer, and the whys and the wherefores and the rights and the wrongs, but we won't. It does sort of really, it doesn't help India's preparations at all to lose all of their match practice. Do you think they would have got any sort of meaningful net practice even, or was it just a complete write-off and they're going to go into the first test pretty much cold?
No, they did. They did have a good net session, and Benoni after the day's play was called off. They used the central wicket because they'd spoken to the match referee. There was chance of play happening tomorrow, but that's also, we just received a text from the Indian team management. There's not going to be a practice game tomorrow, but the Indian team will again go back to Benoni because they will get that pitch again and probably have their own bowlers and a few net bowlers bowl to their batsmen. And they were working hard in the nets. After they had a short spell for every top 6, top 7, top 8 batsmen in the nets with their bowlers going at them, the top 5 bowlers going at them. And after lunch, what I saw for briefly before I left was they insisted upon Zahir Khan and Umesh Yadav bowling short deliveries, short and quick deliveries to the openers, especially Murli Vijay and Shikhar Dhawan and maybe Virat Kohli as well. After that, I left. But again, as much as you practice in the nets, the game time you get in the middle, even against South Africa Invitational, would have been a bit different. Preparing you for the battle in the middle. So that's a bit of a disappointment for the Indian team, definitely. They missed the second innings in Centurion. They missed the practice game here. But at the same time, you don't really want anybody injured because there were big patches in the outfield, um, big wet patches, and we heard stories about how a couple of players injured their wrists in the domestic matches. I think Jacques Rudolph once injured his wrist in an international game here at Benoni. So you don't want that sort of risk going into a two-match Test series where your batsmen have been in form, and you don't want to lose an important player. But definitely, yes, India missing out on some vital practice, some intense net sessions. They have a nets tomorrow. Probably take the Sunday off, maybe not. But definitely nets scheduled for Monday and Tuesday as well at Johannesburg and the Wanderers. So very, very important 3-4 days coming up for the Indians. And yesterday we had we had a small media session, not really a small media session, it was a large media session. We had 6 players with Ashwin, Zahir, Saha, Ojha, Vijay, and Pujara out there, and so a lot of them spoke about different things. Zahir Khan spoke about leading the attack and how they've improved, and Graham Smith is still his bunny, and he expects just to turn up and take Graham Smith. That's really a, that's really a joke from Zahir, but yeah, Ashwin spoke about the different role of the spinners because they've been playing for a long time in subcontinent, probably hold up one end together, but still attack nevertheless. The importance of taking new wickets with the new ball, the red Kookaburra ball, which does a lot. Pragyan Ojha then talked about wanting to play a test abroad. He's yet to play a test match abroad for India after 20 tests, 24 tests, and 113 wickets. So that's outside the subcontinent. I mean, he's played in Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, but that doesn't really count, does it? Murli, we just spoke about keeping it simple and easy and not thinking about too much. I'm not sure how easy and simple it's going to be when you're facing Davis and Monamokel with the red new cherry. He's not been in the best of touches, but he said, it's all not about the runs, it's how I feel. I want to see how Dale's team makes him feel. Saha again was talking about waiting for his opportunity, but Pujara was, talking about countering the pace and the bounce, and he was feeling confident that he's scored a double hundred coming into this game in the Ranji Trophy. Wanted to counter the lateral movement. So a big loss for them. Yes, they missed the practice session, but hopefully they'll make up for it in the next 3-4 days.
It sounds from what you just said there, Chetan, about talking to the players that the Indians actually sound like they're in pretty good spirits. And just to sort of close, you talked about Pujara, talking about various elements of how he's going to approach this Test series. One other piece of news I want to get your sort of thoughts on is he's obviously been named as the ICC's Emerging Player of the Year for the last year, and Dhoni was the sort of People's Choice Awards. So just sort of pay tribute to his sort of emergence on the international scene. And Dhoni, we all know that everybody seems to love him.
Absolutely. I mean, there are 1 billion Indian cricket fans, so there is no wonder that he won the People's Choice Award for the favorite cricketer. So let's move on from that. He's played a couple of good knocks. He's captained India well, and done well in the ODI series. And, we just lost the one series after losing to Pakistan the entire year. We won the Champions Trophy. So done well, led well. The transition is happening well. So moving on to Pujara quickly though, but I mean, what a player. He is one of the 2 important players in the Indian batting lineup, Virat Kohli and Cheteshwar Pujara. They have had some experience. They have been scoring runs in the last year or so for India. I mean, Rohit Sharma has scored some runs. He's also got a lot of talent. So do Shikhar Dhawan, Ajinkya Rahane, Vijay, and all of them do. But it's just these 2 batsmen have been scoring so many runs in the last year or so while the transition was happening. So that's very, very important in this context, because in this series, obviously, South Africa will be targeting the best batsman. They've already targeted Virat Kohli very, very highly. So it becomes very important how Pujara copes up, and he has a little more solid technique than perhaps say Kohli, and he's been among the runs. He'll be confident to face them. He's been here a couple of times, so he knows the conditions a bit, and he'll know what to expect. He doesn't have that brash attitude that sometimes can obstruct Virat Kohli from performing at his best, or maybe brings out Virat Kohli's best out of him. We don't really know, but Pujara in comparison is very cool, very calm, and he has a very calm demeanor about him. So don't know, let's see what happens, but Pujara, one to watch for the future. Big find for India, and it's just absolutely wonderful to the way he batted against New Zealand. He was India's best player in that series against England, where I thought the Indian team was absolutely brilliant with Graham Swan, Monty Panesar, and especially James Anderson. Those 3 were on fire last year, and he scored a double hundred. He scored 100 in Ahmedabad, but a double hundred in Mumbai, if I remember correctly. He was absolutely brilliant, Cheteshwar Pujara, in that series, and of course then he took it on to the Australia series. Didn't get too many runs there, but again, he's been the batsman for the Indian team. And again, like I said, Pujara, Kohli, that's 2 important players in the middle order. Expect Kohli to bat at number 4, Pujara at number 3, the new Dravid Tendulkar, maybe, we don't know. Let's see, maybe the start of something new for Indian cricket here, definitely.
Good stuff, and we'll obviously talk a lot more about Pujara, Kohli and others as we sort of identify who will be the key players in that Test series in our next sort of hangout. But Chetan from Johannesburg, thank you very much for your time today and your input.
My pleasure, John, always.
And thank you very much for watching Cricket World TV.